my co-host, as always.
Hey guys, co-host Jacob here again, and we've got a very exciting podcast for you guys today. Something that the fans and me and Heath have been waiting for a long time, and that's the BBL draft. It's now done and dusted. Overall, I think quite a successful draft for the Melbourne Stars. We'll touch on opinions in just a moment, but obviously we took Ben Duckett with our number one pick, who I think is a great option. Obviously, I've had a lot of controversial messages from fans on who we should and shouldn't have taken. But look, Ben Duckett, I mean, he's played Big Bash before. He played 12 matches for the Brisbane Heat, averaging, and scored 302 runs with a strike rate of 145 in T20 matches. And in comparison, for those who don't know about strike rates, Glenn Maxwell's strike rate is 153. So only 8 number difference there. So obviously Duckett's a very attacking and aggressive player, which I think is what we really need at the top of the order. We just need someone who's going to come out and obviously increase our run rate and get us off to those good starts, assuming Duckett would be an opener or a top order batter. And yeah, I think that's what we're looking for, and I think we hit the target really well there. So yeah, I'm quite happy with Ben Duckett. What are your thoughts, Heath?
Yeah, no, I liked Ben Duckett. I thought he's, like you said, a really, really good option, good batter, can pretty much bat anywhere the coach will put him. I reckon, I really hope he opens with Stoinis, just that 1-2 punch combination that we sorely need, and we can put like that just gives us flexibility with our batting. Like we can choose with him, Cartwright, whoever we have for our power hitters. We can definitely show everyone why we've gone aggressive in the draft.
Yeah, I think that obviously, yeah, the availability is great as well from Duckett. I believe it's 6 to 9 games, which is something that really does matter in the Big Bash. There's no point signing an international player to bring him over for a maximum of 4 games, which we'll touch on in a minute. But yeah, no, I think it was a really solid option. And as you mentioned, we can now sort things around with our lineup and adjust when we need to. But yeah, adding that extra power hitter is really going to benefit us. And I guess we'll just touch on some of the other round one news. I'll call it news, I guess. Obviously, James Vince was retained to the Sixers, which is was quite a surprise to some people. A lot of Sixers fans thought that they would not retain him, but the Renegades did have a shot at him, but he was retained by the Sixers, which is interesting. And then the main one of the round, the one that I'm very disappointed about, is Larry Evans to the Renegades. Immediately, Scorchers fans were jumping about saying, why didn't we retain him? And the Scorchers actually released on their social media the reason why. And it was quite simple. The salary cap, they didn't have enough for a platinum player like Larry Evans. So they unfortunately couldn't retain him. But I mean, it kind of makes sense considering the Scorchers have to contract like players like Aaron Hardy, Josh Inglis, Ashton Turner, Mitch Marsh, Ashton Agar, Jai Richardson. Although some of those guys are playing test, they're still contracted by the Scorchers, which means they still have to pay a lot of money for them. So it's understandable why the Scorchers couldn't retain Evans. But look, he's been great for them, as we all know. So it'll be interesting to see how our rivals, the Renegades, go with him, because obviously they have quite a strong batting lineup, a lot of young players. It'll be interesting to see where Evans slots in there. But that's mainly about it for round one. Do you have anything else that you thought was surprising or interesting from the Platinum round, Heath?
No, I agree everything with what you say. We should get on to round two because there was a bit of controversy in round two.
Yeah, there definitely was, and I have that listed right here. Obviously, the Stars took our pre-draft signing Tom Curran. Now, immediately when I saw this on draft day, I was extremely confused, and I know a lot of other cricket influencers were confused as well as to why we had to actually select Tom Curran in the draft using up one of our picks if we already kind of signed him pre-draft. So my explanation of it to the fans and to those listening is basically selecting Tom Curran pre-draft allowed us to have the option to have him retained, I guess. So, for example, if we didn't have the first pick of round two and whoever, let's say the Thunder picked Tom Curran, we had the option to retain him because he was our pre-draft signing. So he's pretty much guaranteed to us, I guess. So I believe that was kind of the gist of it. I'm not 100% sure, and I know a lot of people are still unsure. But yeah, I personally think I think it's a terrible idea having the pre-draft signing and still having to actually draft them. I think the pre-draft signing in itself is good, being able to get that extra international player in early and guaranteed. But yeah, I really don't see the point. What do you think, Heath?
Yeah, I've got no idea too. I'm still confused with the preseason signing. Like you have to choose them as your pick. I think it's just a waste of time, pretty much, if you ask me.
Yeah, obviously a lot of confusion and a lot of wasted time. People were quite disappointed. And then it wasn't just us that were affected by that pre-draft signing because the Heat, obviously, with Colin Munro, the Thunder with Sam Billings, the Hurricanes with Chris Jordan, and the Sixers with Akil Hussein, all were in the same boat as us, all in the same situation, had to waste, or not waste, but, use up one of their draft picks on their pre-draft signing. So it's really interesting. And I think for the next draft in future, I think they'll have some changes to the whole situation and concept of it because it seems a little bit not 100% right. But yeah, that's all I had from round two. Heath, do you have anything to add?
I thought that Shy Hope was a bit of a surprise. The West Indian getting picked up by the Hurricanes.
Yeah, so Hurricanes obviously picking Shy Hope in the platinum round was something interesting. I'm surprised that there was a few big players that didn't get selected. For example, Alex Hales and Shamar Joseph were both platinum tier players that were not taken. I can probably understand Shamar Joseph. Look, when the list got released, he had a full availability, including finals, and now it was dropped to 1 to 4 games, which is obviously a huge cut. So it's understandable why no one wants to take him. And as I just mentioned before, it's probably not really worth bringing him over for 1 to 4 games. It's only a short season. But yeah, Alex Hales is obviously another one. The Thunder chose to not retain him and target someone else. They took the Lockie Ferguson from New Zealand. So I think it's good. I think it's good for them. The Thunder have obviously changed up their lineup a bit over the offseason, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform. But yeah, a few big names, like you said, were not taken. But yeah, the Hurricanes, Shy Hope. I don't know too much about him, but it'll be interesting to see what he has to offer.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised that the big West Indian didn't get picked up as well.
Yeah, Rakeen. Are you talking about Rakeen Cornwall,
Yeah,
the big man?
the big
Yeah.
fella,
So
really big
yeah,
and solid.
obviously he kind of gets included in that list with Alex Hales and Shamar Joseph of a big international name that was not selected, as well as Joe Clark recently playing in the Big Bash and not being selected this year. But obviously, there's factors to that. It's not just because teams didn't want them. It's because availability really plays the main factor here. There's so many other international leagues around the same time as the Big Bash, like after, before, or even during. So yeah, it's quite understandable why players are choosing other franchise leagues over the Big Bash. They're getting paid more over there, and that's the way it is. But that's fine. But yeah, availability obviously affects that for pretty much every team in the league. We were quite lucky with Tom Curran. He's available for the whole season, including finals, and even with Ben Duckett and Usama Mir, it was great because I believe they're both 6 to 9 games. So hopefully we get most of the tournament out of them. And another factor really is the salary cap. Not as much as a factor as availability, but the salary cap plays a main role in the draft because obviously the Scorchers were without Larry Evans, which is a big difference for them. But yeah, teams obviously we saw a lot of teams passing in round 4 because they didn't have the money to continue to take a fourth player. But we'll get into round 3, shall we, Heath?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have much from round 3, but obviously the Stars retained Usama Mir. I personally think it's a great decision for our pick 24. I think he really proved himself last season as someone who's reliable and kind of a great role player. He gets the job done. He'll bowl probably 3 to 4 overs. Honestly, as our main spinner. He took a lot of wickets last year, and he was great for the fans. He really stood up in the second half of the tournament. I noticed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back in green for another year and hopefully more to come. What are your thoughts on Mir?
Yeah, no, definitely. I was a bit surprised we picked up Amir, like the left wrist spinner. I thought he was pretty good, like at times, and at other times he got exposed. But I was really glad that we didn't get Harris Ralph, which I know that's a bit harsh to some Stars fans, but I was pretty happy that we got someone different and someone that we already know who can definitely give the Stars fans an electric show. Hopefully.
Yeah, look, obviously there's a lot of controversy around not picking Harris Ralph. He's been at the club for a long time and he's kind of built a little icon around himself at Team Green. But I think we made the right decision. Obviously, it's looked at very carefully, and there's reasons behind everything as to why or why not we didn't select him this season. But he's been great for us. But I think as of recent, his form hasn't been great at the Big Bash, and obviously he has other commitments and availability wouldn't have been awesome. So I think we really did make the right decisions. I think all three picks were worthy. I think we made solid decisions compared to previous drafts. I think this is the best draft we as a club have done in a while. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Ben Duckett play for us along with Curran and Mir.
Yeah, definitely. Do we want to like also go to to the to the to the Stars BBL 14 list and see what we can do with the right players and everything?
Yep. So through the off season, the list hasn't changed a whole lot. We still have our regular domestic players, with obviously the additions now of Ben Duckett, Tom Curran, and Osama Mir. So that's three additional players, and then we've obviously recently we've signed Hamish McKenzie from the Scorchers, which most of you will know about by now. So the list hasn't changed much. The only thing we're still looking at now in these next few months leading up to the summer is if we're going to re-sign any of our out of contract players. So obviously Nick Larkin's out of the conversation as he's announced retirement. We're now left with Joe Burns, Nathan Coulter-Nile, Brody Couch, and Corey Roccacelli. So those four names, look, you could have conversations about each of them as to why and why not. I personally don't think we should re-sign any of them. I think Coulter-Nile is probably too old. I think he's well past his prime, and I don't see any benefit in really taking him apart from some leadership and experience. Corey Roccacelli he played one game last season where he did take a wicket against the Strikers, but I can't see him being in our starting XI for any games unless we suffer from injuries. So I don't think we have a need to re-sign him. Brody Couch is a very interesting one. I think he has a lot of potential, but I think the club aren't really interested in him. So I think he's better off, honestly, going to pursue another club. I think if he can sign with a team like the Thunder or the Hurricanes or possibly the Sixers or something, then I think he would get a game, and I think he'd fill a needed spot in their lineup. So I think we should let him go for that reason. What do you think about those out of contract players?
Yeah, no, definitely. I probably argue like we that Corey bloke, we should give him at least a year to see like what he can do to the team. Like he obviously, like you said, he only played one game, but you want to give like him another opportunity to prove himself. And if he doesn't prove himself, then sorry, he's out the door. But I reckon he should sign, and the rest should all go. As harsh as it is, we need to make ruthless decisions if we are to move forward as a club and be a title
Yeah,
contender.
I agree with all that. And then one that we didn't really touch on was Joe Burns, who I think just doesn't really get his spot in the team. It's an interesting one. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think he's too injury prone as well, and he's like Courtenay has been a bit pasted, but he does have experience, so that's the only argument I can make for him. Other than that, I just think he's too injury prone. Plus, he's got experience, so that's a tough one. But you should, I don't know. Do we want to persist with him? Do we not? Personally, it's debatable, but I'd probably say we don't persist with him despite his experience.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree there. Obviously, he's had a quite unlucky run with injury ever since he's moved to the Melbourne Stars, and yeah, look, he's got experience and he has played at high levels, but yeah, I just don't think he's fit for the roster that we have now. I think now that we've got, after the draft has set us up for success, I think with those three players coming into the lineup, I don't see a spot for him or any of those guys, to be fair. So, yeah, I think overall a really successful draft for the Melbourne Stars. And I hope all you Stars fans have enjoyed watching the draft and listening to me and Heath make predictions and previews on the players and stuff. But I think will really benefit from this draft. I've been saying this for a while that the draft is kind of the start of our season in a way. If we're able to select the players that we need to be successful, then our season starts now, which it has. I think we've made the right decisions and now we're ready to go. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that the selectors and the coaches and managers made the right decisions to fit the team. And I think that's it for draft talk. We've covered all the rounds and players. Do you have anything to add, Heath?
Yeah, I'd also like to give a big thank you to Blair Crouch, the manager of the Stars, hopping on and giving us some great information of the draft. He was fantastic to have on, and yeah, just a great guy to talk to.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get insights early into the draft. I mean, me and Heath have been researching and getting information about the draft from really February, kind of. We've been desperate to push out news to you guys and make some predictions, and we were able to do that. And now, obviously, BBL 14 draft is done and dusted, and we're quite happy overall. So, thank you guys. And yeah, thank you to Blair for giving us that extra access and behind the scenes to the draft and information about the draft. That was great.
Yeah, definitely. Did you want to like go through our official Big Bash list, and we can make a final prediction on where we'll finish up at the end of the Big Bash tournament?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've made a lot of predictions before. Obviously, the draft is done now, but there'll still be a lot of signings to come between now and December when we start the season. So I think we'll leave the official predictions till a bit later. But my rough estimate now that we've added Ben Duckett, Tom Kahn, and the Summer Mir, I think we can push for a top three spot now.
Yeah, I reckon we'll go to. I reckon we'll go to fourth actually as a big prediction. Like us in the four, I reckon we can do a lot of damage, but it's going to be very hard. We're going to have to push through the four teams that made the finals last year. We have to give them a run for their money and just win the games we're meant to win.
Yeah, exactly. That's well summed up. Well, I think with our new draft picks that we've spoken about, we can do that now. So, thank you to everyone who watched our draft podcast where we reviewed the players and the overall draft this year. It's been great to get on and discuss more. There will be a couple podcasts coming next week, one with our special guest, Nick Larkin, and another one probably a few days after that. So, thank you guys for coming on and listening. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy our content, and obviously follow us on the socials on Instagram at Melbourne Stars News and Heathy and Melbourne Stars podcast, where you can stay up to date with the latest news on the Big Bash and the Stars. But no, it's been great. Thank you, Heath, for hosting.
Yeah, no, thank you for always for being my co-host, and thank you to the fans for listening and watching. It gives us motivation to do this, and yeah, can't wait for the Larkin podcast.
Yeah, well, it's been a great draft, episode 12 of the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast. So see you guys later.
Yeah, definitely. See you guys. What you doing?